So, Tony Khan, this is nasty. Shout out Alfred Konuwa, friend of the show. We'll be collaborating more in the future. I promise you guys. And he'll be back on this show sooner than later too. And he tweets out, please help Tony Khan wipe his Twitter tears with the cash from his billion-dollar fortune. As a proud sicko and professional victim, Tony is not a fan of competition. WWE's predatory, competitive behavior sent the poor little guy crying to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. So let's watch this video together. I bring you pro wrestling bits. And yeah, another great video from Alfred. I hope he's cool with me just playing his I'm sure he is, because it's plugging it, and we're all cool. Again, he summates it good. If you guys haven't yet, check out Pro Wrestle Times live show, episode 23 from last night. Time cop, though, it was like yesterday or 2 days ago, actually, huh? But check it out, where I rant and raved about Tony Khan and the sickos. I think the clip actually dropped on the clip channel today as well. Time cop those yesterday, huh? But just check that clip out, because I rant and raved about the whole sicko thing. And I just think it's messed up how, we hear Conrad Thompson, just to summate what I talked about before, Conrad Thompson tells Eric that, well, it's really good when there's a healthy AEW, Eric. Oh, come on now, Eric. That's not fair. That's not fair, Eric. You got to be honest that when it's a healthy AEW, it's good for the business. And might I interest you in some car insurance? Oh, come on now, Phil. That's not fair. Don't make fun of my sponsors, Phil. They'll sponsor you too. Conrad's like, when AEW's healthy, it's good for the business. And I just sat there and went, but here's the thing. Tony comes out and says, no, I do this for the sickos. And the sickos are the people who don't want a healthy business. They want everything to die. They want Tony to monopolize. They just want flips. They don't want it to transcend to the mainstream. Tony thinks just putting on great matches with false finishes and wrestling moves will transcend to the mainstream. Like, that's what Tony Khan wants, right? And that's what they all think. They think that, and even Daniel Bryan just said it. I talked about it on the live show. I quoted him and he said it, like, oh, what's cool about AEW is that if people come and watch AEW and see the wrestling, then they'll be hooked to wrestling who aren't wrestling fans. And it's like, nope. That's not how it works, dude. That's not how it works. Like, you got to do what WWE does. So it's like, do you guys want to be mainstream or do you want to be underground? A healthy AEW, well, according to the AEW fans, right? So what constitutes AEW being healthy? Oh, they're selling a lot of tickets. Okay, well, the fans say ticket sales don't matter, and you if you talk about ticket sales. What constitutes a healthy business? Oh, if AEW gets good TV ratings, well, they're fans and them, they all talk about how the TV ratings matter all the time, the fast nationals and the demographic, but then the fans go, nah, we don't. The sickos, the sycophants, they go like, you, if you imagine analyzing the ratings, imagine the ratings. Meanwhile, they're timing the wrestling matches compared to the wrestling matches on the wrestling show. And these are the people who go, no, the ratings, the attendance. So healthy as in what, Conrad Thompson? Love you, bud, but like, healthy as in what makes AEW healthy? Or like, why? What is good if AEW's healthy? All it does is it's just Tony Khan giving money away. Do you guys get it? Like, I want AEW to succeed. You guys already know that. I watch it all the fucking time. I want every pro wrestling. I want TNA to blow up and start selling out big ass fucking buildings too. My whole thing is this: the fans, the sickos, that Tony Khan comes out and goes, nope, I'm a sicko and I love the sickos. Those are the people who are saying, well, no, we don't care if AEW's healthy. Fuck AEW. Like, fuck the attendance. Fuck the ratings. Imagine watching it and care about the ratings. Fuck this wrestler who doesn't want to work here anymore. This wrestler sucked because they went to WWE after their contract was up. This wrestler sucked because they spoke out of their time at AEW. So, Conrad, if healthy AEW means like more of those people, that's not healthy. Those are sickos. Tony admits that. He wants the sickos. We're not ostracizing anybody, but this is what we mean. Like, these are the people who complain about the what chant when the what chant is okay, because these are the same assholes who think it's funny to throw beach balls around. Right? Like, that's what AEW did. It siphoned off all those assholes who would hijack shows and not in the fun, good way. You know what I mean? The sickos. And Tony Khan comes out and goes, no, that's who I book for. That's who I want. So I just said, fuck it, man. He's destined to. It's just not big boy time anymore. Like, I don't even take it seriously anymore. I really, truly don't. They just TNA'd themselves. Tony Khan just Brendan Schaub'd himself. Joe Matarese themselves. Opie from Opie and Anthony himself. Like, that's what he did. Anthony Cumia'd himself, even, if you will. From the same, like, that's the route Tony Khan chose to take. Alfred Konuwa sort of sums it up. Now, that's a brief version of my rant that I went on, my 20-minute rant from the other day, where I was much more upset and fresh-minded and just ranting and raving. But I cut a much more visceral promo. But yeah, it's Tony just comes out and says it. Like, he just said it. The people I want are the people who don't pay for shit, who bought, who engagement farm disingenuously, who only, blow me, who don't actually buy merch, who don't actually buy the pay-per-views, who are illegally streaming this shit, the people who are attacking fans, attacking wrestlers, shitting on everyone. Those are the people that I want. That's the people I want. Not the casual audiences and the mainstream, whatever. I don't actually care about that. I want Will Ospreay, because here's the thing. The sickos who just want great matches, they don't need to be on TNT to have great matches. Like, doesn't need to be an AEW. Like, you could go see all these matches in New Japan. You could go see them all wherever. So AEW is good for one thing: getting legends paid, getting ex-WWE people paid, letting them have their creative freedom to put on their whatever matches that they want to live out. Tony Khan just playing with his toys. That's cool. It's totally fine. But yeah, I just totally have given up, like, even trying to, if people want to push me into a corner and say you're just a hater now, I guess I'm just a hater. Like, I can't even, it's been a long time, but like, I try my best, but it's like, yeah, it's just a joke at this point. Like, the owner he just doesn't care. And he admits that. Sorry, I've taken forever to get to this point, but here's Alfred Konuwa's 11-minute video on this, and shout out Pro Wrestling Bits.
Tony Khan is a victim. WWE is exercising predatory business practices, and all Khan can do is pray. AEW's
emotional damage.
Poor billionaire president is the the beneficiary of multiple businesses that his daddy gave him like a Christmas gift for the tax write-off. But Tony also works very hard to keep them alive. Get it how you live. Tony Khan is an executive.
Get it how you live. I love that he throws that in.
Of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have been to as many Super Bowls as I have. Khan is a beneficiary of Fulham FC, which has won as many Premier League titles as I have. But they did win the EFL title in 2022, which is a championship you win when you get relegated for not being good enough to play in the Premier League, like the ROH title of soccer. Yay, Fulham. Crybaby Khan, most famously, is the president and CEO of AEW, which is now...
Yo, Alfred's mad as shit at them. No, he's not mad. He just makes light of it. He's a comedian, but it's just, they revoked his shit, and he's like, all right, I'm not holding back anymore,
Struggling in viewership and attendance after WWE's rise extinguished their honeymoon period. But instead of making his products better, maybe telling more compelling stories or building more relatable characters, Crybaby Khan is maxing out his victim card and finding...
Oh my God. Oh my God. Do you guys see that? If you're just listening to the show, a meme comes up in this video where it's MJF during his return, where he's cosplaying Triple H, and then it shows and he's like super uber faux tanned, and it's him, and then next to it is like the caption says, "Can't believe MJF came back representing so many eras of Triple H at once," and it's Triple H's return with his jean jacket, and then it's Triple H when he did blackface as The Rock when it was DX feuding the Nation. And oh my God, that is hilarious, dude. Oh my goodness. Wow. I didn't even think of that. That is that's AEW is like a parody of wrestling, dude. If you watch it as like a parody of wrestling, Someone told me that a long time ago. I think it was someone in the chat. When you think about it, man, that really makes sense. You know, look at this. Like, you can't make this up. I pray, was he this tanned? Like, I don't know. He's very dark here. I don't know if someone photoshopped that or not, but jeepers, man. That is funny.
Every bullshit excuse under the sun as to why AEW is struggling. Stooge reporters like stuttering sling blade Dave Meltzer have enabled Khan's victim mentality by writing convoluted reports about WWE leaking ratings to handsome reporters. Ooh, so predatory. Oh, the huge
to handsome reporters. So when Tony Khan came out and was like, oh, the Fast Nationals and WWE's leaking them out to whatever, he's talking about Alfred. So when Tony Khan's melting down as of late, he's talking about Alfred Konuwa, right? Who I'm going to have back on the show to talk about this. Another shot at Alfred. There's a storm a brewing. But yeah, that's why we're chronicling these videos. I know some people who listen to PWT Pod are like, oh, Alfred is annoying or erased. I know people always say, I don't care. I enjoy him. And it's all about the vibe. It's all about this journey I'm taking you on. Okay. It's like the bloodline story. Every little thing I show you guys matters. Okay. So here's Tony Khan is taking shots at Alfred with all of these meltdowns as of late.
Humanity. Seriously, I leaked Fast Nationals this one time, and the leak became so flammable, it burned a whole wrestling promotion to the ground. Because Fast Nationals are so predatory and dangerous. Today, we're going to talk about Tony Khan's history of playing the victim, why this is hurting AEW, and we're also going to rank the real top 5 predatory business practices in wrestling. Because these tactics from WWE in 2024 is a light pack compared to some of their most savage moves against other promotions. Subscribe in Swahili or I'll start sobbing in a subtweet. Tony Khan
go and subscribe to Pro Wrestling Bits.
Loves being the victim so much, he begged Elon Musk to save him from anti-AEW Twitter bots.
So Tony Khan put out a tweet saying an independent study has confirmed that much of the staunch anti-AEW online community aren't real individuals. It's a staff running thousands of accounts plus an army of bots to signal boost them. Look closely. These aren't real people who'd pay for such a wildly expensive thing. You, Tony, because you got caught doing it. So did the Observer.
Whines every time the Fast Nationals leak early. He pisses and moans when WWE.
So Dave Meltzer tweets out, and this is what, why Alfred's going so hard, because Tony's taking shots at him. So Meltzer deleted this because his ass will get sued. This is libel, brother. That's illegal, brother. To quote Adam Sandler, that's a crime, bro. That's assault, brother. No, but like Meltzer deleted this after Tony Khan quote tweeted this. Why? Because in pro wrestling, Alfred will get on that ass and WWE get on this ass. You can't just pause, no Diddy, but like you can't just talk about that. You can't just say these things and like make these assumptions, coping over TV ratings. So Meltzer tweets out, we covered this on the show. I'm just going to read it quickly for those listening. Sorry, but the ratings I listed were accurate. This is in response to someone saying, Dave, you didn't report accurate numbers or whatever. Sorry, but the ratings I listed were accurate. The others were not. They were supplied by WWE to the reporter. Sorry for people mad because everything I stated was correct. And this is not a new story. It's a story that dates back many years and has been talked about and blah, 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 blah. Tony Khan quote tweets it and said, these are the same predatory business practices that Jim Crockett Promotions and many former wrestling territories faced in the 1980s. I'm very grateful to all of you wrestling fans who watch AEW, and AEW is here to stay. See you tonight on TNT Draw. Just cope. Absolute cope. 5K people like this. Like just, man, it's a sick, weird cult. And then, Meltzer deleted that tweet. So he was capping, talking out his ass because Dave Meltzer is
liar! Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar!
Early. He pisses and moans when WWE goes head-to-head with AEW. These are symptoms.
Look at bald asshole. We covered it on the show as well, right? Tony Khan tweeted that out. Bald asshole. See you tonight.
Getting everything he wants from a rich baby daddy. And now that his competition is competing, he runs and cries to the Wrestling Observer snooze letter. Tell me, When Fulham got their asses relegated, or when the Jacksonville Jaguars were the worst team in the NFL for 3 years in a row, not too long ago, did Tony Khan blame the media for leaking TV ratings then? I'm truly honored to be included in the predatory business practices conversation by way of my world-famous Fast Nationals. Shit, I might have a shot to fuck around and win the coveted most disgusting promotional tactic award. Let's fucking go! But humbly, I have nothing to do with AEW's downfall. No, sir. If the wrestling wars were a boxing match, leaking Fast Nationals would be like an opponent refusing to touch gloves. Here are some real predatory practices in wrestling history, starting with some honorable mentions like Black Saturday in 1984. Get you a
Shout out Dark Side of the Ring.
free trial of Friendly TV and check it out on Dark Side of the Ring. Another honorable...
Are you kidding me? Look at this guy with his ads, bro. Like, where Alfred, help a brother out. Well, I need some ads. Oh, come on now. You mean plugging these? Oh, come on now, Phil. You mean plugging these razors that don't sponsor you, don't get you know what I mean, dude? We need some plugs here, dude. I won't plug you guys to death, but I can plug you like once. You guys can handle that. You know what I mean?
mention goes to Vince McMahon for convincing
cheddar. You know what I mean? Come on, guys. Come on, PWT.
Hulk Hogan to no show a sold-out AWA Christmas show, which all but killed the territory. Merry Christmas, Vern. Medusa once dropped the WWE Women's Championship in a WCW trash can. You know who really bangs a set out there is NXT. Like when they loaded up a head-to-head show against AEW Dynamite last year with John Cena, Paul Heyman, Cody Rhodes, and The Undertaker, among many other main roster stars. And yes,
Cody Rhodes is going to be on NXT next week.
Tony Khan cried about that too.
Or this week, sorry.
This infamous bald asshole tweet. But still, that really wasn't all that predatory. It's just competition. Maybe that's why Tony Khan gets so bent out of shape on the Bird app, because all the franchises he owns are losers who don't win anything, so they know nothing about real competition. TK's Twitter tantrums speak to a bigger problem of a career loser who is out of his element when in competition. The number 5 most predatory business practice in wrestling is the NWO. And I mean early NWO, when Hall and Nash came to the company and heavily implied they were hired goons from WWE. This led to a whole lawsuit from Titan Towers, which WWE won, by the way, and Hall and Nash were forced to go by their real names and acknowledge on camera they did not work for WWE. Number 4 is WWE's Billionaire Ted skits. In retaliation...
And I get mad when people like shit on Eric Bischoff, too. It's like, dude, oh, come on now, Eric. Sorry, guys, I can't stop. Eric, he tried and lost, and he put WWE on their back foot, so it's like, the people who go like, oh, well, Eric messed up. Eric failed. So what does he know? It's like, you never have done you never tried anything in your life. You never taken a risk. You never bet on yourself. You never done. You have to understand, like, he tried. He put them on their back foot. He almost took WWE out. He almost bankrupted them, dude, in just like 5-6 short years. You know, if you can't see how doing that and then losing, like if Bischoff had hindsight and could go back and do it again with the knowledge he has now, do you not think he would be more successful or do it better than he did the first time? Like, of course, dude, of course. Like, it's not like he just failed and he's bitter and wants everyone to fail. Dude, no, man. You don't think Eric Bischoff wants AEW to be another wrestling boomer war? Like, that would be more money for him to get into, you know? Like, do you guys think there's more money in, like, let's say there's 3 super hot wrestling companies and then there's podcasters like doing what I'm doing with 3 uber hot wrestling companies? Is that better for my bottom line, or is just hating on Tony Khan because he's like, no one just like wants to clown on Tony Khan forever? That's like not a thing, dude. But it's just it's sort of the low-hanging fruit, but he puts himself out there. He gets mad at Alfred, who's just saying numbers. He gets leaked. Alfred gets lots of shit. He writes for Forbes. He gets a lot of information that comes across his desk, if you will, okay? So Eric Bischoff has been there and done that. To think he just is like, oh, just a bitter old podcast star. It's like, you guys, man, whew, it's just, you know, we talk about it ad nauseum. But yeah, WCW was there and did that. They almost beat WWE. So take Eric's advice, because if he could go back in time with the knowledge he has now, he would have done even better than he did. Not saying he'd have beat Vince, but he did better, because he didn't know where not to mess up and who to convince, who to keep her, all of these things. He could have done Sting Hogan better, all of these sort of things. So shout out Who Killed WCW, by the way. Great show. And we're going to EFAP watch it on Patreon.
To WCW Nitro kicking their asses. WWE has rarely ever acknowledged AEW on TV, but in the 90s, an embittered Vince McMahon launched a full-fledged assault.
And when WWE did have Sami Zayn bring up AEW on TV, that was super smart. I know some people are like, oh, why would they do it? It's because they just got ahead of it. They just instantly made AEW look lower than them. Oh, what, you want to talk about AEW? What do you want to talk about? Like they got like a step ahead of AEW on that by making AEW seem like below them. It was very smart.
On Ted Turner and WCW, mocking Hogan and Savage's age through the Huckster and the Nacho Man. Mean Gene even caught strays through the Scheme Gene character. These sketches were funny sometimes, but not intentionally. They were funny in the sense that you could just tell how bitter Vince McMahon was about losing to WCW through these skits. They were written with pure hatred, like Vince was dipping his quill pen into a vial of snake venom. Eric Bischoff even threatened...
Yeah, that's how I send messages now. Via, haha, pal. Yeah, how I send messages now is via notebook and pen and ink with an eagle who flies my message. I can't send texts anymore. Yeah, the last guy who had access to my text got... Now I send messages. You want to know how I send messages? I send them via pen and ink, and a falcon who lands on my wrist and kisses my ass. Just don't read what they say. Yeah.
These skits. You want to talk about predatory? Some of the Billionaire Ted bits ended with a call to action, with WWE encouraging its fan base to write letters to the Federal Trade Commission to block Ted Turner from buying Time Warner. You gotta love a carny calling another carny a carny. It's the kettle calling the pot African American. Number 3 is Eric Bischoff going on air live to give away the results of taped WWE shows. Don't remember Tony Khan having to deal with any of that insidious behavior. In the end, this move backfired on WCW when Tony Schiavone told fans not to change the channel to WWE Raw because Mick Foley was finna win the strap. The opposite happened. Fans did change the channel, and ratings skyrocketed for WWE Raw and Foley's coronation. Kind of like how Dave Meltzer and Team Tony tell people not to read the Fast Nationals, only for my Fast National tweets to get bigger every time they come out. Love you for that. It's like
exactly, man. They don't get it. When they go, oh, look, he's doing the Fast Nationals or lies, and then everyone goes and looks because it's like, well, why do you care so much about them? Why do you care so much about them if they're lies, dude? Like, if I just went out on Twitter and went, the sky's green, Tony Khan, you wouldn't care. So why do you give a shit? Well, it has to do with it's a lie about my business. Who gives a fuck? You revoked Alfred's access to your image thing. You don't give him interviews. So who cares? You cut him loose, let him talk shit. Right? Or else go and talk to him. Like, it's so crazy how these you have $1 billion, you won't just go talk to Alfred on the phone. You have you're giving people millions of dollars. You don't just make them sit in a room together, Punk and the Bucks, and hash it out so your business can work. It's fucking crazy, dude. How immature it's mind-boggling to me,
The old don't think about the pink elephant trick. And as our channel trailer says, do not subscribe to Pro Wrestling Bits. Number 2 is WWE trying to steal Mike Goldberg from UFC in 2005. Vince McMahon reportedly offered Mike Goldberg a 6-figure bonus to no-show a UFC event and debut on WWE Raw. Goldberg missing UFC's first major show on TV at the last minute would have left the promotion with no lead commentator and could have turned UFC into the AWA on Christmas.
Also, Mike Goldberg worked for WWE first, I believe. He was one of those guys who would stand behind the little podium during the commercial breaks and go like, hey, I'm Mike Goldberg, and WWE will be coming your way in Santa Ana and, Washington, Seattle. We'll be in Tucson and Mike Goldberg would do that. And those guys would eventually get promoted up to like commentator sometimes or backstage guy, whatever. But then he went with the UFC.
Mike Goldberg stuck to his morals, remained with UFC, and was fired years later.
And that was way before. Yeah. And then UFC did him dirty, dude.
He go home, good on Mike and everything, but you see where morals get you in the wrestling business. And the number one predatory practice in wrestling history was Degeneration X showing up to a WCW taping. It was a legendary moment, just as WWE was starting to hit its stride in the Monday Night Wars. WWE made WCW out to be the uncool brand, the brand that doesn't want the smoke, and even exposed WCW for giving away free tickets. Savage. Predatory. Yes, WWE is definitely screwing with AEW these days, but I have no sympathy for all elite whining because A, that's what happens in a wrestling war, and B, it's nowhere near as direct or scandalous as predatory business practices in years past. Tony Khan has followed wrestling his whole life. He's lived through all of these vile and cold-blooded tactics that I just mentioned, and this motherfucker is appalled at the predatory business practices of WWE leaking the Fast Nationals?
Yeah, bro.
Emotional damage.
Exactly. Dude, Alfred just brings it back to reality and goes, dude. And Tony's mad because I tweeted a fucking number that wasn't even right. And you guys talk about how no one watches cable TV anymore, so why do you care? Like, oh man, that is funny.
That's why he thinks AEW is struggling? Twitter, please. Fun fact, the AEW Rampage Fast Nationals last weekend were way up compared to the final numbers, but that didn't fit Tony Khan's narrative of the Fast National.
Boom, exposed for being a clown. Two clowns right here, because you know why? I go so hard on Tony now. I used to always be like, no, he's cool, he's cute. But it's like, no, dude, because exactly when the Fast Nationals were higher, and then he had to correct and go, actually, they were lower. You didn't cry about that, Tony. But now that they're lower, and then he goes, sorry, they're actually higher. You have a fit taking shots? Like, oh, man, please. Why are you even focused on what Alfred's doing? You get all this good press everywhere, and you're worried about, and this is what Dave's always talking about on the media, talking about one Forbes writer. You had another Forbes writer say that you guys were worth $2 billion. But because this one doesn't bow down and kiss the ring, you know what I mean? Ugh, it's weird and gross. Tony McCann.
Only leaking when AEW ratings are down. But fuck all that. Preliminary ratings have nothing to do with AEW's struggles. Crybaby Khan is balling uncontrollably, uncontrollably. AEW is colder than Glacier's entrance. Tony Khan is nobody to blame but himself because he's taking full control of every aspect of the company, which has led to talent frustration. The only thing Tony Khan knows how to do is schedule good matches between great wrestlers. Anybody with a PS5 and WWE 2K can do that. Yeah. I'd call Tony Khan a bad booker, but that would give him too much credit for implying he's an actual...
Like any of us could go, oh, wouldn't it be great if this wrestler and this wrestler fought? And then you just do it in 2K. But why? Why are they fighting? That matters so much more, dude.
Booker. He's not a booker. He's a scheduler. He's Tony Timekeeper. He's a matchmaker. He's Tony Tinderfingers. All he knows how to do is make
Twitter fingers turn to Tinder fingers.
matches. And when the novelty of indie style matches wore off when Vince disappeared, AEW just hit different. They didn't have any other tricks up their sleeve.
And I pointed out on the last live show, the one thing, because AEW wasn't innovative in anything, but the one thing they were innovative in was at the start of the pandemic, they put like wrestlers in the crowd. Right? But otherwise, they're just playing catch up and copying everything else. Yeah, that's their biggest downfall as well. Like all these camera angles and shit. Like they had Kevin Dunn in WWE up for years doing all these weird zoom ins. And they didn't think of like, let's get drones in there. Let's do these long 1 minute shots. Like, you know, they didn't. Now they're just playing catch up on everything again. Right? They had the chance to get ahead and instead they just fumbled it.
Still don't. The harsh truth about AEW is that they're federally fucked as long as Tony Khan rules with a flaccid fist. Tony Khan thinks he's Paul Heyman, but he's Todd Gordon in this bitch. The only difference between Todd Gordon and Tony Khan is Todd Gordon had the self-awareness to realize he was Todd Gordon. So he hired a real leader with actual creativity and Hall of Fame credentials in Paul Heyman. Tony Khan cannot book wrestling. He's just not that guy.
People say, like, Phil, what would you do? Like, could you book better? Well, I don't see you book better. I'm telling you right now, if I had $1 billion, if I had Tony Khan's money, yeah, I would, right? I'm telling you right now, because it wouldn't even be me doing it. It would be me hiring people. I'll tell you this right now. Would I be pitching creative? I mean, personally, yeah, I'm a writer and shit. You know what I mean? That's what I do. I'm a creative dude, first and foremost. But I'm just saying, if it was me, I would pay Cornette, Flair, Bischoff. I would have like a round table and I would lay out my, like, here's my 1 to like 10-year plan. Here's my 1-year short-term plan. Here's my like 10-year long-term plan that can sort of change along the way, but we need to get here eventually, is what I see in 5 to 10 years, you know? And I would even if these guys disagree, I would have them each just say, I would say all my ideas, and I would have them go, this is that wouldn't work. This would work. Do this, but with this guy is going to fuck things up. Whatever. Like, it's not hard with the money you have to sit all these people down and just have them like tell you what to do. But he doesn't want that. He just wants to play his real life video game, which is like, that's cool. But that's why I like video games, dog. You know, like I book on 2K2, bro. But if you actually are in charge of like this business and you're like, dude, let's actually make a change in wrestling, there was a way to do it. And as long as he's not a creative guy, that's just all it is. He's just a book smart guy, you know what I mean? Which is fine. You know what I mean? There's no he's just redoing things that he saw in the past that he thinks is cool, and it's just elementary level, like, oh, what, isn't this awesome? Like, I don't know, dude. We'll keep watching this video. But I believe though I would book better, because it wouldn't be me doing it. And if I owned Ring of Honor, I would book Ring of Honor to learn how to book properly. And I just run it out of a studio, put it on YouTube for free. And then I would learn. And then if people were like, this Ring of Honor show sucks, I would be like, yeah, I'm learning as I go. And that's why it's Ring of Honor. And it's a developmental for AEW. And even in the Ring of Honor, I'd have other people around me, you know, and telling me what's better. Like, ultimately with the money in the pen, you can decide this is who we're going to invest in and push. But from there, it's like, exactly, like, how do you get there? How do you push them? How do you that's where other people need to come in, Tony. It's true.
Khan isn't relatable. He grew up in a sheltered environment as the son of a billionaire. He spent most of his free time on a message board as a junior correspondent for the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which is like being the editor of a school newspaper and the school shooter. Khan is awkward on camera. He's not funny. He's not charming. He's not personable. Every time he talks, it feels like he's coming down from a Pepsi binge. These are all the reasons he only relates to Sling Blade Dave Meltzer, by the way. By Khan's own admission, he's a sicko. Okay, fine.
And Tony Khan tweeted out, I book wrestling for the sickos because that's what I am and that's who I care about. Well, all right then. You don't care about me? Peace.
But I don't want Buster from Arrested Development booking All Elite Wrestling. AEW doesn't need a sicko right now. They need a scumbag, a dog, a charismatic carny and cult of personality who's fast and loose with ethics. Go hire you a George Bluth Sr. A real promoter responds to predatory business practices with carnyism of his own. He fights fire with fire. Tony Khan fights fire with Twitter. Khan needs to stop crying in Sling Blade's bosom and man up, or hire somebody who can save the directionless company so you can have more free time to cry in Sling Blade's bosom. Fucking crybaby, cry.
Alfred is mad as shit.
Cry, baby, cry. We like to see you cry. You poo-poo in your poo-poo. You pee-pee in your pee-pee. Tony Khan will keep messing around, blaming everybody for his struggles until AEW gets relegated to Tubi TV, my boy. Accept this invite to the AEW Player Haters Ball and subscribe.
The Player Haters Ball, I was invited as an honorable mention. Air horn for Alfred Konuwa's video. Oh man, that's a great one. And I'm gonna always play pro wrestling bit stuff on the show and the live shows because he just does such a good job. And typically I'll rant about something and then he'll be doing he does a video on the thing the next week, and it's like, yes, dude, this is incredible. So